Hello, everyone. Welcome to how to upgrade from an old version of BarTender. We're just going to give everyone here just another minute or so to get settled in before we get started. And just for everyone's knowledge, today will be a roundtable discussion. It will be 30 minutes, and so we ask you to keep all of your questions inside the chat, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible. Give them a little bit more time, and we'll get started here in just a moment. Okay, I think we're good to get started. Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Ryan Rodriguez. I'm a product marketing manager, sales engineer, and Manny Castro, our senior solutions consultant. Today we have a pretty full agenda. We'll be presenting updates on the BarTender lifecycle, followed by a review of the latest version of BarTender, BarTender 2022. From there, we'll be providing a demo of how you can easily get started today with your update, and then ending with our Q&A roundtable discussion. So you may be asking yourself, what is the BarTender lifecycle? Well, essentially, when we introduce a new version of BarTender, we guarantee a minimum of 6 years of support starting from the release date of that version. So for example, there you see at the top, BarTender 2022 was released in April of 2022. So its end of support would be in April of 2028. Right now, this chart shows all of the current supported versions of BarTender, except for the last one in the green bubble at the bottom. BarTender 2016 reached end of support back in April. So that version of BarTender is no longer supported. So this means that if you're operating with BarTender 2016 or an earlier version, such as BarTender 10.1 or anything earlier than that, you will no longer have access to technical support. You will not receive any new security updates, and you will not be able to add any additional printers unless you have renewed your maintenance and support agreement. So we highly recommend that you update your BarTender software to the latest version. So let's take a look to see what's been added to BarTender since then. So for BarTender 2022, it offers full flexibility of your labeling workflow. This can be seen through the all-new BarTender REST API, which is only available in BarTender 2022. The REST API allows you to connect to any business system, including your ERPs, WMSs, and more, and automate many areas within your labeling workflow through over 60 available actions. You can leverage the REST API to automate your printing operations, your label template management, and even your label printing. Along with that, BarTender 2022 includes flexible printer licensing, so you can add on any number of printers at any time without needing a new PKC. BarTender 2022 also provides greater mobility, as seen through the recently released BarTender mobile app. This is only compatible with BarTender 2022. The mobile app gives your teams the ability to print from anywhere, anytime, on any device, so you can reduce your labeling costs and minimize the steps in your labeling workflow. It's currently available right now on the Google Play Store and Apple App Store at no extra cost to you. We've also completely revamped the print portal with improved UI and feature enhancements for faster and more accessible printing. The refreshed print portal allows you to quickly select and print from your labels from any web browser on any device. And we've added expanded remote printing access for your teams, partners, and external suppliers, so they can easily access the most up-to-date information and view only what's relevant to them. And finally, BarTender 2022 improves your overall productivity through enhanced label workflow and production. We have the new workflow designer, which helps you create label design, approval, and deployment workflows to improve your overall label document quality and increase team accountability. So you can leverage this simple drag and drop tool to support your labeling processes across your entire organization and keep track of the status of your label files from start to finish. On top of this, Print Portal is also integrated with Librarian, so including its workflows, but I should also include, so you can better centralize your label template management. We've also included native PDF printing, so you can experience faster PDF generation, which basically means that you no longer have to worry about installing a third-party PDF driver. And we've expanded support for over 20 plus databases, including Excel Online and Google Sheets, as well as 2 new connectors for Microsoft Azure SQL and SAP HANA. So I know it can be a little overwhelming of how you should get started with your upgrades. So we've laid out some options to help you figure out the best place to start. The first option is to get a new BarTender license. This is great for any instance that will require more than 6 months to migrate or has multiple sites that are all using unique templates. However, for most of you, the best option would most likely be to provisionally activate BarTender 2022. It's the easiest way to update your software, especially if you have a simple setup. And for testing, if you're looking just to test out new BarTender 2022 features, we definitely recommend downloading a BarTender 2022 free trial. But again, if you're still not sure of where to start, or if you don't know, or if you don't want to have to worry about, handling the upgrade yourself, you can simply get in touch with our BarTender professional services team. And so for today's session, Manny and his team over there, and so for today's session, Lee will be walking us through how to get started with provisional activation. So I'll be passing the baton over to Lee.
Okay, always helps if I unmute before we get doing things. So I'm going to request control from you, Ryan. So provisional activation. This is what is going to help you migrate from your earlier version of BarTender. Now here you see it saying BarTender 2016. If you have 10.1, if you have 10.0, if you have something even earlier than that, don't worry about it. The process is the same. And just pretend instead of 2016, it says BarTender 10.0. So the way this works is your existing platform is using a licensing software called Siegel License Service. You may know it as SLS, and that's running on a PC somewhere. And all of the different BarTender instances that you have, which might include the one that the SLS is running on, are asking that SLS for permission to do a print based on the number of printers that are available. When we went to BarTender 2019, we changed how the licensing worked, and you will actually love the changes. There's a lot of great improvements in there, but it's no longer backwardly compatible. So what we did is we came up with a way that's going to let you easily migrate from your old system to your new system and not take production down at the same time. And you'll see on the side there, I've got 5 basic steps. And we go into more detail with this on our how to upgrade to BarTender 2022 webpage in our technical support portal. And we're going to give you that link in a little bit. But here's the basic process. The next thing you're going to do, and you gave me control, right, Ryan?
Yep.
There we go. Okay. You're going to install BarTender 2022 on a new PC, not on top of the old one, because that would just flat out replace it. Put it on a new one. Put it on the one that maybe is where you want the licensing service to be. Then, once you have that set up, that will automatically install the BarTender licensing service. You're going to use the same PKC here, and you're going to select provisional activation. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to leave the old license service in operation, supporting your existing integrations and prints, while also making room for the new BarTender 2022 installations that you're going to be creating. And so here, the first thing we always recommend is set up a test and evaluation station so that you can actually go through and do best practice. And 99.9% of you will not have a problem. But I'm a cautious engineer, and hence I think I'm a good engineer. You always want to test and evaluate, right, Manny? Yep, Manny's nodding his head. And believe me, Manny has been through the wars with this. So
yeah.
If
Agreed.
Manny nods his head, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and
All
then
right.
generally one thing as well is the old license server generally has like an old unsupported operating system. So this is a good time to implement that upgrade.
Excellent point, Manny. That old obsolete operating system may be one of the drivers for you to do this update. Manny and I have had many calls where it turns out somebody is running. Manny, I just heard of one, BarTender 6.0,
Oh, wow.
which was, they were still running it on Windows XP. And their IT department said, we are not letting your XP bot, we're not going to replace it, and we're not going to let it actually connect to our network anymore. And so they are now needing to do that update. So another big reason, guys, is you got to get out of the old Windows. So after you've done your test and evaluation, you can then start moving one integration at a time. So notice here, I've moved integration A over to a new station, and I've done my test and eval. I've moved that one. My old one is still running as well, that remaining integration. And that's basically what you're going to do. You're just going to move things one at a time until all of your actual printing is now being done through BarTender 2022. And this license, Siegel license server is now just sitting there getting lonely because nobody's talking to it anymore. And at that point, you deactivate that old license service. You can then push in the new Windows on it or whatever the case may be, and you're done. And that's the basic process. So, I do see a question. What does the actual move of the individual PCs look like? So BarTender, when you install a new BarTender, it installs straight over the top of the old one. That's why you want to migrate these one at a time. Probably best practice is to always be moving to a new machine. Again, you've got probably old obsolete OSs on the old machines. The older the BarTender, the more likely that is the case. And so you want to have a new machine with the new OS, the new BarTender, but the templates and the integrations should migrate over with little or no changes required. And then once that's removed, you can go about updating that old PC or repurposing it or retiring it. Okay. Best documentation to follow for upgrading 10.1. That's going to be a link we have. Also, this is a great point that we can maybe bring this up, Manny. You want to talk about the upgrade assessment that we offer?
Yeah, sure thing. So there's going to be a slide on this later, but basically the upgrade assessment is going to be it's a service that we provide where our team meets with you for a couple hours. We assess the current state of the of your BarTender deployment, and the deliverables for that are going to be the recording, and also we fill out a document. That document contains a couple things, which would be the current state in terms of your implementation, and then we also include the a recommended upgrade approach. It's a collaborative effort, so you'll meet with us and with myself or one of our team members, and we basically together build an upgrade plan for you.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that, folks, I think actually we were talking this morning, Manny, you guys did over 100 of those last year, right?
Yeah, no, they've been it's been extremely popular. And then so basically it falls into a couple categories, to be honest. So there's a hard divide between customers that effectively the upgrade assessment itself is sufficient enough for them to just execute, and then just need a kind of a good plan laid out for them, and then they can have their IT execute. For the smaller number of customers, they opt to have us actually help them. If you opt to actually have us help you with the implementation and there's a subsequent consulting engagements that result of that, we credit you the 2 hours to that.
Okay. Hey, Manny, how about if you take control from me and then walk them through the actual how to provisionally activate slides, the next couple of slides there.
Let me see if I can figure out how to do this.
We just switched over our platforms, folks, so we've
Yeah.
got a little bit of adjustment here. Look under View Options. You should have a Request Remote Control.
At the bottom of your screen, or?
You know what? I'll just do it. You tell me when to click.
Okay.
So we'll move to the next screen.
Okay, so let me see here. So you.
This
Yeah,
assumes
so-
you've already installed BarTender 2022 on the new PC.
Gotcha, I see it. Yeah, so you basically, you're actually going to be prompted with the window on the right, unless you cancel it out. But you're going to install BarTender 2022, and the first thing that it's going to ask you to do is to activate. Now, if you happen to hit cancel, you're not ready to activate or something, you know, to that degree, you would open your administration console, and then you would go to the licensing section, which is what you see on the left-hand side of your screen here, and you would activate a new license. When you enter your product key code, remember that you're going to be entering the same product key code that is currently activated. So one big thing that is, you know, kind of like very well known in terms of like, you know, BarTender licensing is for automation and enterprise licenses, you're only allowed a single license server. That's it. And then you're allowed unlimited clients within your network. So in this scenario, this is like the one caveat, you would be allowed to put up a new license server provisionally. And can we hit next here, Lee?
Sure.
What's on the next slide? Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, so basically, once you enter your product key code, you're going to see this checkbox to use a provisional activation. You're then going to hit next and next and submit your BarTender registration. And the registration is going to allow our support team to look up your license, or if you happen to, you know, like the server crashes or whatever, we can retrieve your license because of how we sell BarTender through our channel. We may not know who actually owns that license. And you can, what's on the next slide, please?
It's what best practices.
Okay.
So go ahead, Manny.
No, I'll go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, so let me back up just a touch here. Manny touched on a big and important point, the BarTender registration. So we may know who you are, but we also may not, because maybe you're buying through you know, one of the big online carriers. Oops, I don't know what I did there. I just lost the web. Ryan, I lost the PowerPoint.
Oh, let me get back to the share there.
Yeah. So the joys of a new platform, folks, we're having to relearn our reflexes as far as what buttons to push and when to scroll them out. But let's talk about this a little bit. Filling out the registration form means, among other things, we will be able to notify you when we have a new release of BarTender ready. We will be able to notify you if there is something important, say a security alert that you need to know about. It's also important because when you log into our portal, our support portal, you can register your license. You'll gain full support. There we go. And it's also here where you get to be able to basically register the software and be tied into us. One of the things Siegel is known for is our support. We really support you, but we need to know who you are. So by all means, you need to work this. Let's see, I am going to request control from you again, Ryan.
Yep, and you have it again.
Okay. And so what do you need? Okay, you need the latest BarTender, and you get that from going to our web page, eaglescientific.com, and telling them that going and clicking on the software and then the downloads, and then you can do the download. You need to know your BarTender PKC. If you don't know that, then that's a reason to reach out to us, reach out to our channel sales group, and they can take your support number and find out what your PKC is. And you need to have administrator access to the computers that you are updating. For Provisional to work, it does need to be a newer version. So if you're on version 2019, Provisional activation isn't going to work if you're trying to install 2016. If you're on 2021, Provisional activation won't work if you're trying to install BarTender 2019. It will work if you're trying to install BarTender 2022. So Provisional activation is always rolling forward. And then finally, this should not be a clone or VM copy of your current activation. This needs to be a brand new install. We have made a lot of changes in the last, 8 years, I think, Manny, since 2016 came out, and 10 years since 10.1 and 12 years since 10.0 and so on back. So you do need to do a fresh install of BarTender. Okay. All right. Let me gently go back. Okay. Here we're talking about, Manny's already talked about the upgrade assessment. Folks, I cannot emphasize too much how valuable this is. This isn't just, yeah, it sounds good. Manny and his people really will drill down in, and if you're not quite sure what your BarTender circumstances are right now, you will when you are done with the assessment. And you're going to be able to, if you've got the in-house resources, proceed to do your own update with a lot of confidence. If you look at it and you go, wow, that's something I don't have the right people for, or I need to do this really quick, then guess what? The money you spent on the upgrade assessment for Manny and his people, you can then use that as a credit for having Manny and his people help you through the actual process. So it's a win-win any way you cut it, and I strongly encourage you to consider it. Everybody I've talked to who has done it, they have been delighted with the results. Other things that Manny and his people can do. Manny, do you want to talk about the integration and label design?
Yeah. So to be honest, the primary thing, well, at least aside from the upgrade assessments, to be honest, but the primary thing that keeps us busy as a consulting group is building integrations with third-party systems. So if you have any third-party ERP system that you would like to build an integration with, we can build the code, write the code for you in terms of the automated print process. So basically the way that it will end up working is instead of a user actually opening BarTender, they would be in your ERP dashboard. So have it your, SAP, S4HANA, your NetSuite or Oracle dashboard, and that application that ERP would be responsible for submitting a request programmatically to integrate with BarTender. So we would own the BarTender side of that development effort and document it all out for you. And we also do label design, and we have a concept called, or a part number, I should say, not concept, called a PS Quick Start as well. So if you just need a couple hours with one of our team members, we can get you set up with that as well.
Okay. And by the way, lots of questions coming in. We're not going to have time to answer them all, but by all means, keep putting them in, because we will respond in writing to every single question. That's a promise. And we will make them available to everybody. So, you know, ask the questions. We've talked a little bit about this. Is there a time limit to provisional licensing? Yes. The time limit is, if you have professional or automation edition, it's 30 days. If you have enterprise, it's 180 days. If you have started that process and something happens where you're not going to complete in time, contact us, because we can help you out with that. There, on a case-by-case basis, we can make some changes to that time frame. Another point, by the way, that somebody had: what happens if you don't deactivate the old license server, the SLS? Okay, what's going to happen is that when that time frame expires, our system is going to look and see that, oh, you have 2 copies of the license, and it will disable the new copy. So all of a sudden, your new BarTender installation, the license would no longer work. So really important why you want to talk to us if you're starting to run close to that time frame. Really important why you ultimately want to deactivate the old license server. Okay. Manny, we've got a couple of minutes left. Do you want to take one question and then maybe we give it back to Ryan?
Let me see here.
How about this one? How can I sign up for an upgrade assessment?
Email us at sales@seaglescientific.com, or reach out to your reseller.
Or if you know them, your Siegel Scientific Regional Sales Manager. Yep. They can help you with that as well. Okay, we are coming up on it. So Ryan, you want to take us out?
Yes, yeah, apologize everyone. I know that there's a lot of other questions that we were not able to get to, but as Lee mentioned, we will be following up and writing with the answers to all of your further questions, as well as some other frequently asked questions that we have received from previous webinars that we've hosted before for this. So just to quickly recap, though, we just want to make sure that you continue to operate efficiently without any issues. And so the easiest way to get started with your BarTender software upgrade is to contact your Siegel sales rep or reseller. And from there, you essentially have 3 different options, which is to renew your maintenance and support agreement, get in touch with Manny and the BarTender professional services team to get started with an upgrade assessment, or request a support extension to keep your support for a little bit longer if you need more time. But please note that this is only available for BarTender 2016 and Enterprise. All right, well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.